Welcome back. My name is Chris Miller, and in this tutorial, we're going to cover Local, which is a piece of software that you can install on Windows, Mac, or Linux to run a local instance of WordPress, or many local instances of WordPress. Now, don't let the name confuse you. Local as a term is used widely across all pieces of software for developing software locally on your computer. But this little piece of software specifically is called just Local, and it allows you to spin up many instances of a WordPress site locally. So let's get started. First, if you want to open up Google and you want to type in local WordPress, your first hit past your ads there should be your localwp.com. So we're going to click on that. And over here, you can create an account, which you do not have to, or just go straight to the download. We'll click download for free, and you can choose your platform. We'll choose Mac for this tutorial. And I believe you can skip right past the sign up here and click get it now. Oh, no, it went your work email. Let's go ahead and give it our work email and say get it now. And great, it's downloading. So we're not going to walk through the installation process. It's just like installing any other piece of software. We already have it installed, so we're going to go ahead and jump straight to that. So if we take a look at our left-hand sidebar, we've got a few icons here. One is this login account. We're going to completely ignore that. That's only if you have a Flywheel account, which we're not going to cover in this video. Here is the local sites, which we do not have none or any yet. So we'll take a look at that again here in a minute. Connect is only if you are hosting with Flywheel or WP Engine, which again is not something we're going to cover in this video. Add-ons is something that allows you to do more locally with a WordPress site. It leans more into the developer experience or helping developers work locally with WordPress. Not necessarily something I don't think that in most cases is going to go to your staging site or your live site. And then you got the help icon here and the plus sign there in the bottom left, which we're going to go ahead and hit. So hitting the plus sign, it wants us to fill out the name for our site. So we're going to just call this MyRad site. We have some advanced options here. You can change the local domain or the local site domain, which we're not going to do. We're just going to leave it as is. It's going to prefix the name of your site there as the URL. And it is also going to install this in your home directory under local sites. And then again, the name of the project. And then blueprints are really cool. We're not really going to go too deep into blueprints on this video, but say for instance you have a WordPress site with several plugins installed and several things configured that you want to rapidly clone or duplicate. You would create a blueprint, and then you can start your next project from that blueprint to help expedite or speed some things up there. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And so you can go preferred or you can go custom. Custom will let you choose your PHP version, web server, which is Apache or Nginx, or the version of your database. We're just going to go preferred right now with 7.3 on our PHP. Nginx as our web server, and then looks like MySQL version 8.0.16 on there. So I continue, and we're just going to generically use admin. Don't recommend obviously using that in a production site or even a staging site for that matter, or even a local site if you're working on a real project. Go ahead and begin with a strong password because that can be a slippery slope. Is this a WordPress multi-site? Again, this is that kind of goes beyond the scope of this video, so we're really not going to get into what a WordPress multi-site is. But if If you're not familiar, there's a lot of great resources out there that you could check out. So clicking Add Site, what this is doing is spinning up an instance of WordPress. It's getting a database going, connecting the WP config or updating the WP config credentials to use the database information. And it's doing just so much for us in just a few clicks and a few form fields. Any of the, if you've been around the WordPress block for the past decade or more, and used Mamp back in the day, you will appreciate this process here. It definitely speeds things up and eliminates a lot of steps on the upfront. So we're checking out my rad site now, and we can see there's the title. We've got our folder there. If we click this little nifty icon, it sends us directly to our folder. If you take a look at the folder structure, let's click through app, click through to public, and let me go ahead and switch to our column view for this. It's going to be a little bit easier to see. We can see here that these are all the WordPress core files, and of course, if you get into WP-content, we have our plugins folder and then our themes folder there. All right, I'm going to close that and come back here to our overview. So again, site domain, we could change that. You could change that anytime if you like. SSL, let's go ahead and click trust, which is should prompt us for a password. There we go. And is going to configure an SSL cert locally. If you want some sort of parity or something as close to the real deal on your staging or production site as possible. Again, there's our server or PHP version, etc. Our WordPress version, multi-site is no. One-click admin, I actually don't know what that is. That seems to be a newer feature. Let's see. What's a little information? If enabled, the admin button in local will automatically log you in as the selected user. Oh, let's test that here in just a minute. So if we click on database, we can connect to the database similar as you would with PHP MyAdmin, I believe. Is that what it's called? I can't remember. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. And so we can see all our tables, and we can dive into the database and do database things if we want to. I'm going to close that out. Come back here. So there's that, and some other useful information for the database. And then we have tools. Mailhog's really cool. If you've, again, developed or built with WordPress for a while, you'll know that PHP Mail is a finicky little thing, and it really depends on your environment and whether or not it's set up to deliver those emails. What Mailhog does is intercept those emails. So if you're testing, say a plugin, perhaps you're developing your own plugin to send emails, this is a great way to test to make sure that WordPress core, the WP Mail is firing, and then of course any other plugin that hooks into that would subsequently fire off emails, and you can see that here in Mailhog. And then you can click through and you can see what the body of that email is. Live links, which is really cool, and it looks like that they are going to require us to create an account and log in order to use this. But what live links will do is if you have an instance that you're developing on locally that you want to share with someone to get some feedback, you can activate a live link and send that to them. And it basically allows that person to tunnel in and access the site. So let's just remove the word tunneling for a second. If you give them that link, they will see that site exactly the same way that you see it on your local machine without having to host this anywhere live. So it's really, really cool. Based on what little I know about it, it's some sort of, maybe it's a VPN, I don't know. but it's some sort of tunneling where it's a private secure connection where they're only accessing the site there. All right. So let's click back on overview and let's now guide our eyes over here to admin and open site. So admin, we'll get to that in a second. Let's go ahead and click open site. That's going to take us to the front end of the site, the home page. So MyRad site, just another WordPress site. So a lot of this should seem familiar if you've used WordPress before, and if not, we'll take a look at the back end just a little bit to show you where this theme is active but in this, that's going to go beyond the scope of this video in terms of getting into the nitty-gritty of WordPress. So clicking admin is going to bring us to our admin login page. So again, we're going to use admin to log in, and we are logged in. Great. Let's go ahead and go full screen and zoom in for you a little bit. And yeah, here's our WordPress dashboard. We're here in the back end in a plain Jane WordPress local install. I said that I would come here to appearance, and you can see this is the active theme there. Of course, we can change our theme. We'll activate the 2019 and take a look at the front of the site there, and there you go. There's that theme there. Something that's you know, again, if you're new to WordPress, this is a great way to get up and running and to test it, tinker with it. In another video, we'll look at how to open up the project in a code editor and how to begin configuring and changing and developing and yada. But for this one, we really just want to stay focused on the local piece of software that allows you to do all this. But before I wrap things up, I want to show you one really cool thing that I really like. And that is, we talked a little bit about, and I right click on the WordPress site, by the way. So we talked about Blueprint, which I'm not, is it here? Is it here? Yeah, save as Blueprint. Okay. So there's save as Blueprint, and then there's export. Okay. So we're going to start with exporting. I'm going to go ahead and export site. In myradsite.zip, we're going to stick it on our desktop. All right, so that's going to take just a minute. And while that is exporting, well, never mind. That was fast. I was going to say, I think that local is built using Electron, and I believe it's Docker containers all running in the background. We'll spin up another site here in just a second. So let's delete this site though. We're going to delete MyRad site. All right, so we have no sites anymore. And we're going to take this zip file. This is the really cool part. Ooh. Let me go ahead and put in the password. And we're going to click and drag this to import the site. This is really awesome. Archive source, it's saying where it's coming from. We're going to keep the same name. That's great. Hit continue. We're going to keep the same preferred settings and click import site. And now the site is importing. And in just a second, we're going to be able to click log in or visit the front end, and it will be fully imported. Now, some of you who are familiar with Docker might think, well, you know, why not just have, you know, like a Docker YAML file in the root directory of your project and then be able to share a database around or something to that effect? You can. That works for some teams. That is it's a viable solution. This is just another option. And this could work for other teams and be a really easy way to share local projects around, especially if you're only concerned with version controlling the theme or some of the plugins and not necessarily WordPress core and everything. So, okay, awesome. Look, so we've got MyRad site is now imported. So that is awesome. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save MyRad site as a blueprint. So let's just imagine that we've, and if you're not familiar with WordPress, this might go a little over your head. But for those of you who are familiar with WordPress, imagine we've installed a few plugins and we've got some things as a nice baseline for our project set up, and we want to create a blueprint. So we're going to say, we're just going to call this baseline. How about that? And we're going to hit save blueprint. So it's kind of the same as exporting a site, sort of, except for it's going to show up as an option when we go to create a new site. So we're going to hit the plus sign to create a new site. And sorry about that. That's my son in the background. And we're going to say, let's see. Let's call this one shipwreck. And we're going to click advanced options. And instead of saying don't use a blueprint, we're going to say we're going to use the baseline blueprint. And we're going to create site from the baseline blueprint. Again, there's not really going to be much to show in terms of seeing what came out of that blueprint, because we didn't have anything configured with it. But hopefully you can see the value in what a blueprint can do for you, especially if you have a nice little setup to get started. All right. And with that example, I just demonstrated that we now have 2 WordPress sites running locally, and we don't have to run those locally all the time. We can turn one off, or we can turn one on. Again, I believe it is Docker running in the background. It's just an abstracted version of it. But yeah, cool. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy watching these videos, and stick around for more.